Hi and welcome to Tech Tip Friday. I'm Kurt Stahle, that plastics guy, and I'm bringing you a tech tip that you can take to the shop floor with you today. And today's tech tip, like many, are actually based in some real-life events, a case study, if you will, of events that happened over the last week. And it involves a commodity master batch that was sold through one of my intermediary partners to a customer outside of this country. Now, we didn't have a white standard communicated, but they were fine with whatever I had available that was a good quality. So that's what was shipped, and it is a good quality product. I sell it to many molders and have done so and will likely continue to do so. But for this particular customer, they weren't happy with the brightness of the white, and they were able to work it off with some other products. So no harm, no foul, but they don't want that same mistake repeated. So I was able to get a sample from a compounder that I work with on custom colors and showed them, this is what we can do, and that's going to get some internal approval from the end user. And sometimes this is, the simplest way of doing things. But what happened? Well, TiO2 comes in a number of different grades. There's premium, very premium bright white, and there's sort of middle of the road, and then there's lower end. And I think I was somewhere middle of the road to higher end, but not of the same brilliance that was expected. And that's fine, we're rectifying that now. So do keep in mind that different grades of TiO2 can have different brilliance levels. Think of it same as paper. You've got high-grade presentation report paper and low-grade average photocopy paper. The two may look similar until you compare the two together, and you'll see the brilliance difference between the whites. So another thing to keep in mind when you're buying a commodity white master batch is whether or not the point of origin, the manufacturer, is cutting that TiO2 level with calcium carbonate. That's a very common approach to keep costs down. Calcium is much lower price than TiO2, but there are also some very brilliant grades of calcium carbonate. Look at Omnia's calcium carbonate portfolio, and you'll see a few of them. That comes to mind because I have some dealings with Omnia. So just bear in mind, you need to get what you think you're paying for, and don't be afraid to ask your material supplier if their TiO2, if it's 50, 60, 80, if that's the actual percentage of TiO2 that's in there. Don't be afraid to ask the questions, make sure you spec it right, and make sure that everyone understands the shade of white, the brilliance of white, and you can avoid some hiccups between you and your customers and make your life a little bit easier. So that's your tech tip for today. Again, I'm Kurt Stahle, that plastics guy. Have a wonderful Friday, a great weekend, and we'll be back next week with another tech tip. Thanks so much.